Tonight, controversy looming over Rikers Island as the Department of Correction announces it will stop reporting deaths of inmates.
They have to fix this problem, and hiding it is not fixing it.
A PIX11 exclusive, a woman who had her wig ripped from her head near Herald Square is speaking out.
It shocked me, I was in shock in that moment. Tense, stressed, fear.
New York is getting federal funds to address a migrant crisis, but city lawmakers say it's not enough.
Our city can absolutely and must be a leader in the efforts in creating a pathway towards work authorizations, housing vouchers, and other necessary resources.
And the Brooklyn Bridge getting a facelift just in time for the summer.
It's one of the most iconic symbols of New York City, and if you think there's something different about it, it looks a little different, you're right. See what they're doing at the Brooklyn Bridge.
This is the PIX11 Evening News.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for the PIX11 Evening News. I'm Tamsin Fidel.
I'm Corey Chambers. We begin tonight with the PIX11 exclusive. Police are looking into a controversial incident. A woman walking in Herald Square had her wig ripped from her scalp by a New York attorney.
That's right. This happened right here on West 35th Street near 6th Avenue on Monday. The victim telling us she has reported the case to the NYPD after sharing a video of the incident on social media.
Yeah, that case now sparking outrage online with millions of views. The lawyer has been fired from his firm. Tonight, that woman at the center of the video speaking out to us. She spoke exclusively with our Anthony DiLorenzo. Anthony.
Corey, Lizzie Ashley was headed home from a night out near Herald Square earlier this week when she suddenly felt her hair being ripped from her head. She instinctively reached for her phone and confronted that man who allegedly did it, and the internet went wild.
What made you think that that was the good thing to do?
Please.
For what? For what? Why did you do that? What makes you think that that's okay? Is that funny?
Well, that's just part of the 55-second video that the indie pop singer posted to her Instagram and TikTok pages, which has now been viewed over 7 million times. Social media sleuths uncovered the identity of this man and reported him to be Anthony Orlick, a New York City attorney who appeared to be out with friends early Monday morning. But after repeated attempts by PIX11 to get his account of what happened, we have not heard back. The NYPD says it continues to investigate the assault complaint made by Ashley, who spoke out this afternoon for the first time.
Everyone who followed and said, hey, we need to, defend our women in cases like this, because we gotta make sure that men know you shouldn't be walking down the streets of New York or anywhere attacking women in any kind of way, whether it be her hair, whether it be anything. Mind your business.
And while Orlick hasn't broken his silence, his former Manhattan law firm acted swiftly and said in a statement online, quote, "We take seriously any inappropriate behavior by any employee, whether inside or outside the workplace. This associate is no longer with the firm." We did check state records, too, and found Orlick has no prior disciplinary history and still has an active license to practice law. And Tamsin and Corey, coming up at 10 o'clock, we're going to talk more about what we found out about him and the message that Ashley specifically has for this man. That's, again, at 10 o'clock.
Unbelievable. I mean, keep your hands to yourself. It's basic stuff. We learn it when we're in kindergarten.
You can just hear the hurt in her voice, too. You can hear the hurt in her voice.
Certainly.
Anthony, all right, we'll see you at 10. Thank you so
thanks.
much. Well, questions were raised today about a new practice from New York City's Department of Correction. Yeah, that's because the department says it will no longer notify the public when someone dies on Rikers Island. The measure now facing backlash. Anna Harry explains why.
If they can keep it a secret, it won't get exposed.
New York City's Department of Correction will no longer notify the public when a person dies in their custody. The change comes after 19 people died in city jails last year. Lizandra Cadu's son was one of 16 to die in jail custody in 2021.
They have to fix this problem, and hiding it is not fixing it.
Mayor Eric Adams defended DOC Commissioner Louis Molina and the new approach.
I support him to do the job I hired him to do, and whatever methods he needs to do it within the boundaries of not violating any laws or rights of people.
But serious questions have been raised about transparency from the Department of Correction. Dr. Lippy Roy is a former head of addiction medicine on Rikers.
Men and women that are behind bars are just not getting access to the treatment that they need and deserve.
This is a moment of extraordinary crisis within the jails where people are dying and being severely harmed at shocking levels.
Saturday, 31-year-old Joshua Valles died after he was rushed to the hospital from Rikers. There was no public notification of his death, and his attorneys say they were initially told he died of a heart attack.
The autopsy reveals a fractured skull.
And a special report from the Federal Monitor overseeing Rikers called out 5 recent incidents where people were seriously hurt or died, saying the DLC commissioner was not forthcoming with information.
He did not violate any of the rules on what he was supposed to report on.
After that report, public advocate Jamani Williams is now calling for the first time for a federal receiver to take control over Rikers.
What appears to be happening here is an inability to make Rikers Island safe.
And while the DOC tells us they will no longer notify the public when someone dies in their custody, the DOC says they will still notify that person's family and their attorney. And the Department of Corrections says any necessary investigations will still happen immediately. Reporting from the bridge to Rikers in East Elmhurst, Queens, Ayana Harry, PIX11 News.
Now the latest on the migrant crisis. New York will only receive a fraction of the money it requested to help with the $4.3 billion cost of helping asylum seekers.
Yeah, but some city lawmakers are reacting, saying it's just not enough. They say they need more money to help asylum seekers with their paperwork to get them out of shelters and get ready to work. Henry Rossoff has more tonight.
For all the city has done for caring for the more than 70,000 asylum seekers who've come to New York, the majority of which still being cared for in hotels and temporary shelters, city has not done a very good job making sure that they're actually applying for asylum. And that has big long-term consequences as we deal with this migrant crisis.
Say it loud! Say it clear!
Immigrants are welcome here.
Leading progressive lawmakers and advocacy groups are pushing New York City to allocate $70 million to help with legal services for asylum seekers. Comptroller Brad Lander says for all the time, effort, and money spent during the last year to support migrants,
we have failed to say, do you know what you need to do to file your asylum application? Are you aware? Would you like a pro se clinic or legal representation to help that get filed?
Just Wednesday, leading staffers for Mayor Eric Adams who are handling the crisis admitted only a tiny fraction of those being cared for by the city have actually applied for asylum. The mayor and governor, for that matter, have been outspoken in pushing the Biden administration to speed up work authorizations for asylum seekers, which normally takes about 6 months. The goal is to more quickly get migrants jobs that would allow them to move out of shelter. But right now it would be meaningless for the majority of those in the city because they haven't even begun the cumbersome paperwork.
We know that our newest neighbors are on a 1-year application deadline. A 1-year application deadline. And if they don't meet those requirements, this city is saying we are okay with you all being the next generation of undocumented people in our city, and that is not okay.
Without addressing the request for $70 million directly, Mayor Adams pushed back on other lawmakers who keep asking for more money. He also ripped the federal government for communicating to the city it would only be sending at most $36 million in the next round of migrant relief.
The amount of money that we receive I think is embarrassing to what the city has been handling.
But the comptroller, the city's money man, says finding the funds now would be well worth it.
Spending this $70 million will save several $100 million. The cost of providing legal representation is far less than the cost of even 3 months of shelter, much less a year of shelter.
Now, the legal services currently being provided to asylum seekers is largely happening through a network of nonprofits. The city does support some of that work, but those nonprofits who are at the press conference say they're ready to supercharge the efforts if they get the funding. At City Hall, Henry Rossoff, PIX11 News.
Well, the Piano Man is preparing to sing us a song one last time at Madison Square Garden. It is the end of an era after more than 100 concerts. Billy Joel ending his residency at MSG. We're going to have a timeline ahead.
And the Brooklyn Bridge may be 140 years old, but it's still going strong thanks to some TLC. We have an update and an up-close look at the big maintenance project to rehab the iconic bridge, including what already looks different when we come back. Well, Billy Joel is as much an icon of New York as the venue where he plays, but now his residency at Madison Square Garden is coming to an end.
Yeah, it sure is. During his almost 10-year residency at the Garden, he sold more than 1.6 million tickets and sang his first song at Madison Square Garden back in 1978. James Ford has more on this announcement.
This may have been the most telling thing. Billy Joel blinking back tears a few different times, as Madison Square Garden's CEO made this official.
Billy's monthly residency at the Garden will end with his 150th lifetime show, which is slated for July 2024.
The Piano Man has broken records for most consecutive performances by any artist, 90 of them, as well as most lifetime performances at a venue, 136.
The first of the final 10 residency shows will be on Friday, October 20th.
If you think you still have time to see Billy Joel in residency, you may be right, as one of his hit songs says. But since the residency's days are numbered, there's pressure to reference another hit. So if you want tickets, this is the time. And yes, that's another of many Billy Joel titles in this story about him moving out. Also a song title.
10 years, I don't know, 150 shows, 10 years, all right already.
Said in true New York fashion, and he showed characteristic honesty, admitting that he'd lost his farewell script, so you hear him just the way he is.
We're just here to hype the next 10 shows, ticket sales. It's promotion. I'm now 74. I'll be 75 next year. Seems like a nice number to just, okay.
This is my life, the 6-time Grammy winner said, and Mayor Adams saying that each morning a Billy Joel song is part of his daily routine.
I place on the earphones and I play New York State of Mind.
And we'll let the artist have the famous last words.
I think if you what's that thing, you Google somebody's house, if you Google Billy Joel's house, they show Madison Square Garden, which is kind of cool, you know.
Actually, if you Google Billy Joel's house, we did, it shows his mansion and estate in Oyster Bay, Long Island. He's now put it up for sale and said today that he's planning on spending more time at his estate in Florida. But, he added, quote, "I'm not leaving New York." James Ford, PIX11 News.
Oh, Billy Joel.
Yeah, really. All right. Well, the change is coming to the Brooklyn Bridge just in time for the summer. The work underway. Next.
And families who take free sewing classes at the Salvation Army in Queens, they need more resources. Meet the community heroes behind the initiative and how you can help them out. It's a welcome sight as we get closer to summer. A big maintenance project underway on the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, crews have been cleaning the exterior, and it's given the bridge a whole new look. Greg Mocker has a story from Dumbo.
People have a love affair with the Brooklyn Bridge. It's been going on for 140 years.
This is a symbol of New York. It's a beautiful weather, time to come out, and then this is a perfect spot for the photograph.
Mami Hariyama is a dancer and has a ballet school in Manhattan. The Brooklyn Bridge is a popular setting for a photo shoot. The bridge itself is even more camera ready now. Look closely. Notice it's cleaner and brighter.
It's iconic. Everyone knows the Brooklyn Bridge when they come to New York. You have the leading lines, you have the iconic rails and the ropes. It makes well for a really great photo, especially if you get low, you get that really beautiful perspective, blurred background.
The structure is getting a deep cleaning, one brick and one block at a time. Crews secure themselves to the side of the bridge and work one area at a time. Other crew members are replacing bricks. They're inside the base support structures as well, which contain rooms and old storage space. The work preserves and protects the bridge.
They also been taking care of improving the safety. When a bridge is built, it's an average of 80 years of life. From there on, we had to continue investing on the maintenance and the safety of the bridges.
NYC Department of Transportation Commissioner Adonis Rodriguez says the city has about a year left on a more than $300 million mega project. Specific maintenance, safety, and exterior work on the Brooklyn Bridge.
To know that this was used 140 years ago and still we are using it. We are replacing those that had required to be replaced, but at the same time, there's many of those pieces that are inside.
Well, my grandparents were immigrants. They always say when they came on the ship, they saw the Statue of Liberty and they saw the bridge, and it was an emotional time. So I feel very special to be an American.
There are nearly 800 bridges and tunnels managed by the New York City Department of Transportation. It is constant maintenance and repair. This mega project is now really focused on the Manhattan side of the bridge.
In Dumbo, Greg Mocker, PIX11 News.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about this weather out there. Hi, Chris.
Yeah, cranking up the heat a little bit. We're talking about temperatures today in the mid and upper 80s, some low 90s, inland sections of New Jersey. May even tack on a couple of more degrees tomorrow. Right now, though, we're looking at 78. That's pretty nice in the city. Low 70s out across Long Island, down the Jersey Shore with that sea breeze kicking in, but still holding on to some upper 80s to the north and west. It's going to be a warm evening. That'll set the stage for another warm one tomorrow up near 90 in Fordham. We could see 90 in Central Park. A little further along the south-facing shorelines of Brooklyn and Queens, we're talking 82 Ozone Park, 77 Bensonhurst. But again, another steam bath out across northwest New Jersey, 92 in Edison, 92 Mount Olive, 93 up in Paramus tomorrow, up through the Hudson Valley, 92 in Poughkeepsie, Cold Spring at 93. But it's of short duration. We're going to cool things down rapidly as we head towards the weekend. Even the island tomorrow, away from the south-facing shorelines, you should get to between 80 and 85 degrees. Nice and quiet right now. Clear skies. We're in good shape for the evening hours for the start of the day tomorrow. But then a cold front taking what we call sort of that backdoor approach out of Canada and then sliding in from northeast to southwest across the area will spawn a few showers later tomorrow afternoon, first north of the city. Then into the city, there's the possibility of showers, especially Friday night, overnight into Saturday morning. I think there may be breaks in the action, though. Any threat of showers on Saturday for the afternoon will be very widely scattered in nature, so not as pessimistic as we thought earlier. And a good part of Sunday should be dry. Maybe a couple of showers return eastern sections later in the afternoon. 67, that's it for the low tonight. Near 90 tomorrow, into the 90s inland spots. Watch for those showers later in the afternoon, first north of the city and then in the city overnight Friday night. Much, much cooler, dramatically so by Saturday. 20 degrees cooler, upper 60s. Low 70s Sunday. Most of that day, if not all, should be rain-free. And then into next week, no 80s, no 90s, just 70s. Maybe a few more showers later Tuesday into Wednesday. But again, at least the weekend doesn't look as bad as it initially looked this time yesterday afternoon. That's for sure.
All right, good to hear. Chris, thank you.
All right, well, a lot of families, mostly women, are being inspired through free sewing classes each week in Astoria.
Yeah, but they need new machines and fabric and volunteers to help keep the program running. Classes at the Salvation Army in Astoria on Broadway. Every Thursday, you can see more and more women at the sewing machine making clothes and tote bags. It's not only fun, but also saves families money. Major Claudia Germain of the Salvation Army Astoria Corps leads the class. She says with every project, there's students that are not just learning, but also bonding.
We need more sewing machines, fabrics, equipments and stuff like that. Tables, our tables are falling apart.
How many of you had your moms used to sew?
Oh yes, my mom.
You love sewing.
I love it.
How great is that? Well, the hope is that a continued support is going to help the program expand and also continue to reach community members as well. New York City Transit and union officials are praising a worker whose quick action likely saved a man's life.
Yeah, he was working at the 25th Street subway station in Sunset Park Tuesday when a man assaulted a man standing on the platform. The victim fell into the tracks. A train was approaching the station, so the worker jumped to help him.
Looked at the gentleman. He was in shock because he saw the train coming as well. So I just told him, give me your arm. He gave me his arm. I picked him up. Asked him if he was hurt in any kind of way. He told me no. No scratches. He didn't want to fill out a report. So I went about my business as a regular day after that.
A suspect was arrested a short time later.
Well, it is the kickoff to Pride Month.
Yeah, that's right. We have a look at the celebrations and ceremonies commemorating decades of activism, plus...
Yeah, guys, coming up after the break, we discuss the Rangers' head coaching search. A little hockey talk next. The Rangers and former head coach Gerard Gallant decided to part ways May 7th. Rangers felt that Gallant was now not the right coach for a win-now team. Lack of adjustments to too player-friendly, and the exit interviews with some players didn't Gallant no favors. Fair, I don't agree with it, but the move, and they made the move nonetheless. The Rangers have reportedly spoken to John Hines, Peter Laviolette, Spencer Cadbury, Jay Leach, and Mike Babcock. Not an inspiring list of potential head coaching candidates and replacements. I'm never against taking your time to find the next head coach. After all, there is a ton of pressure on Drury to get this hire right. This is a win-now team. If this coach fails his job, Drury's that is, could be on the line. But can you really get all that excited about that list of names? It's a ton of retreads. How about a fresh new face, new voice? Go find yourself the next John Cooper down in Tampa. That man is Hartford Wolfpack head coach Chris Knobloch. He was brought in by Drury 2019. He He is a talent developer and a winner. He had 13 years of head coaching experience before joining Harvard, including 2 years as an assistant coach with the Philadelphia Flyers and 7 years as a Canadian junior coach. He compiled an impressive record, 298, 130, 16, and 13. Be different. Enough with the retreads. You have a 44-year-old head coach right under your nose that I think is the right guy for the job. Now go hire him. Until next time, New York, I'm Mark Malusis.
Well, Pride Month celebrations are starting across the 5 boroughs and beyond.
Yeah, the month honors contributions and impact of the LGBTQ plus community in New York. Celebrations are even more special because it was where the concept of Pride began with the Stonewall riots in 1969. Events include special dining at Ellen Stardust Diner, which is partnering with Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS to an art installation at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine.
The Episcopal Church has for a very long time affirmed the dignity of LGBTQ people. We would say that love between people in a same-sex relationship can be just as holy and dignified.
Coming in here and seeing how welcome and accepted everybody is, it's inspiring, especially in a church atmosphere.
The exhibit shows the struggles and triumphs of the LGBTQ plus community. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the PIX11 Evening News tonight. I'm Tamsin Fidel.
I'm Corey Chambers. We'll see you tonight at 10. Sports Nation Nightly is next. Have a fantastic evening.